In a Schwarzentreuber Amish basement, you'll sometimes find more than 1,000 jars of food. Tomatoes, green beans, beef, apple sauce. All of it lined up on hand-built wooden shelves, none of it touched by a single watt of electricity. Amish families typically can about 6 times more food than the average American household, all without a fridge, a freezer, or a power grid anywhere in sight. So how does a family feed itself all winter, every winter, using nothing but jars, dirt, and cold water? The answer isn't one trick. It's a whole system, built over generations, where every single piece of food has its own specific home. Get that placement wrong, and you lose the harvest. Get it right, and a family of 10 can eat well into March on food they grew themselves. It starts in the garden, and an Amish garden is not a hobby. It's closer to a small farm. A single family might plant a 1/4 acre or more, rows of tomatoes, beans, corn, cabbage, squash, potatoes, enough to feed everyone at the table, plus whatever gets sold at a roadside stand. Harvest season means the whole family is out there together, kids included, because there's no version of this where one person manages it alone. Therefore, the work gets split by what each food needs next, because almost nothing goes straight from the ground to the table. Most of it goes through one more step first. For a lot of that harvest, the next step is canning, and Amish canning days are not casual. A woman might process dozens of jars in a single session. Tomatoes one week, green beans the next, peaches when they come ripe. The high-acid stuff, fruit, pickles, salsa, gets processed in a simple water bath canner on a propane or wood stove. The low-acid stuff, vegetables and meat, needs a pressure canner because that's the only way to get hot enough to kill off the bacteria that causes botulism. This isn't optional. It's the one place where a shortcut can genuinely make someone sick. So the timing and the pressure get followed exactly, the same way they were followed by the generation before. And here's the detail that surprises people. The Amish can meat. Chicken, ground venison, even beef, cooked right into the jar, so that come January, dinner is already half made. One Amish woman who runs a stand at a Pennsylvania market said her secret for canned chicken was almost embarrassingly simple. Chop it, salt it, pepper it, that's it. No marinade, no fuss. The pressure canner does the rest, sealing it shut for up to a year. But canning only handles part of the harvest. Root vegetables, your potatoes, your carrots, your beets, they don't want to be canned. They want to be buried. That's where the root cellar comes in, and it's one of the oldest tricks in human history. Dig down into the earth, and a few feet under the surface, the ground stays at a steady, cool temperature, no matter what the weather's doing up top. No machine required, just dirt doing what dirt has always done. Pack it with straw, keep it dark, and a root cellar can hold vegetables for months without a single one going soft. But not everything belongs down there. Tomatoes give off a gas as they ripen that speeds up spoilage in everything around them, so they get canned instead of cellared. Onions and garlic hate the damp, so they go in a dry pantry, not the cellar. Every food in an Amish kitchen has a rule book, and that rule book gets passed down before a daughter ever cans her first jar of tomatoes. Then there's the stuff that can't be canned or buried at all: milk, butter, fresh cheese. This is where things get genuinely clever. Many Amish farms are built near a spring or a stream, specifically so they can run the water under the house or through a stone trough. Drop a sealed container of milk into that cold running water and you've built a refrigerator with no compressor, no electricity, nothing but gravity and groundwater that stays cold all year. Some families take it a step further and harvest ice straight off a frozen pond in winter, packing the blocks in sawdust inside an insulated ice house where they'll stay frozen well into summer. So between the root cellar, the spring house and the ice house, the question of cold storage is basically solved without a single appliance. That leaves meat, and meat is where the oldest tricks in the book come out. Large cuts of pork get covered in salt, which pulls the moisture out and starves any bacteria trying to grow. Then it's hung in a smokehouse for weeks, sometimes months, until it's cured all the way through. Some families still use a method that sounds almost too simple to work. Cook the meat, pack it in a jar, then pour hot melted lard right over the top, sealing out all the oxygen the second it cools. It's an old method, and most Amish kitchens today pair it with proper pressure canning to keep it genuinely safe. But it tells you something about how deep this tradition runs. People were solving, how do I make meat last all winter, with nothing but salt, smoke and fat, long before anyone had ever heard the word refrigerator. If you're starting to picture just how much coordination this takes, you're not wrong. And that's honestly the part that should get more credit than it does. Subscribe if you like seeing how people actually live, not just the postcard version. We dig into stuff like this every week. Add it all up and you get a kind of food security that most of us, plugged into the grid, have never had to think about. A storm doesn't matter. A power outage doesn't matter. The food in that basement isn't going anywhere because none of it ever depended on electricity to begin with. One Amish basement, home to a family of 11, can easily hold close to 1,000 jars by the end of canning season. That's not an emergency stockpile. That's just what winter looks like when you grow and preserve your own food on purpose. What's wild is how little of this is actually about avoiding technology for its own sake. It's about understanding food well enough that you don't need the technology in the first place. Salt pulls out moisture, heat kills bacteria, cold slows everything down. And once you understand those three principles, a fridge becomes one option among several, not the only way the math works. So next time you're standing in front of an open refrigerator door, just letting the cold air spill out while you decide what to eat, it might be worth remembering there's a whole way of life built around never needing that door at all. Same problem, a completely different answer, refined over generations until it just works. So now you know how a family feeds itself all winter without a single watt of electricity touching the food. We cover stories like this every week, the kind of stuff that actually explains how people live instead of just what they look like from the outside. There's another one already up on screen if you're not done yet.